Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another MPJ rock album review show. I'm your host Nigel. Welcome to Simon, to Paul, to Trish, to Dom, and to William. Hi,
Hello.
gang.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning. Good morning. Right, I apologise to the viewers out there for my cold, so I'm going to make my lovely panel do most of the heavy lifting and talking today. And who've we got? Well, as you all know, this is a battle of the albums. We review two albums. Today it's Creeper versus Twin Temple. We rate them out of 5 each. Me and Trish are joint votes today. So if a band gets over 23 out of 25, they automatically qualify for our album of the year, which is next month, everybody. Whoa! Dun, dun, dun. If they get more than 20 out of 25, they'll crack into our Hall of Fame, and they may get a wild card from one of my lovely panel, as well as the other panel, who we also record with. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, will one of our dynamic duo get it today? As I said, it's Creeper versus Twin Temple. Creeper. And their album, name their album, everybody, because I can't pronounce it. Paul, what's the name of their album? Go on.
Sanguivore.
Sanguivore against Sanguivore against Twin Temple and God is Dead. Right. Creeper, if you don't know them. Paul, let's start with you. I know you're a Creeper fan.
Yeah, I'm a Creeper fan. Okay, so Southampton band Creeper were originally formed in 2014, with the current lineup being Will Gould as the lead vocal, Hannah Greenwood and Ian Miles as backing vocalists, and Sean Scott, Jake Fogarty, and again Miles on guitars and drums. I've personally followed Creeper for a good few years now. Their debut album received rave reviews, and their song Misery was a huge success. At the end of the tour, though, they declared that Creeper was finished. In a way, they were correct, reinventing themselves in their following album as a goth hard rock band. It is interesting that bands usually promote themselves on Spotify in the section about the artist, where the band simply state Creeper is a cult. During the COVID years, their Sex, Death and the Infinite Void was great escapism for me, telling the story of a pair of vampires in the US in an upbeat hard rock tempo. I was disappointed that we didn't review their extended EP American Noir in 2021, where the vampires moved. When it continued on about the vampires in the USA, and saw Hannah Greenwood have more of a vocal input, especially on Ghosts of a Calvary and Damned and Doomed. I guess I was hoping for more of the same with Sanguivore. And Sanguivore is a medical term for animals that live on blood, like vampire bats, female mosquitoes, and leeches. What we get here is a new twist from Creeper as they fully enter the theatrical rock as portrayed by Jim Steinman, inspired American Noir, to full opus gothic theatrical rock as seen through Darcia, who acts as a vessel between the band and the audience. The album kicks off with a 10-minute epic. It's not that you notice as Darcia's vampiric life is created. Thereafter, the songs never break over 5 minutes. Each tells a story of fascination, desire, and horror of a vampiric life. It is very rare that on an album, not 1 second is wasted, lyrically, musically, or vocally. But this is what Creeper have achieved on what might well go down as a modern classic of the genre.
Wow. Wow. Okay, thank you for that. That was amazing. Really in depth. That Will, Creeper, something that floats your boat at all?
I mean, so I'd never heard of them before. Now that I'm aware of. It's not the kind of thing that's in my general metalcore angry men shouting at me listening. And I have to admit, I would much rather have angry men shouting and screaming right now, because I couldn't vibe with this album. So the album's like a weird mix of like a musical theatre and rock, which, on the surface, to me, like the most perfect thing for me, because I love musicals and I love rock metal music. But for me, you have to be in the kind of mood to listen to this kind of music. Like, for me, it's not the thing you can just sit down and listen to and go for like a weird gothic-y musical thing. So I just couldn't really vibe with it. Starting the album with an over 9-minute track, it's a bit bold, right? It's a bit ambitious, and for me, was also a massive turn off to the album, because like you go through this one massive long track to get through it all, and it's just no. And then the weird 40 odd second track like near the end of it, it's unnecessary for me. It's not a bad album per se, obviously, because it's good singing, good vocals, good musicality, but it's just not my cup of tea. But I could see it being enjoyable enough to those who more vibe with this kind of thing. But for me, it's just not. Doesn't quite hit that sweet spot.
No, everybody's sweet spot is Dom. So let's find out what he thinks of Creeper.
Well, thank you, sweetie. Yeah, I've seen these guys live back in the day when it was just absolute carnage, actually, and something completely different sound to what they are now, as Paul was talking about. And yeah, starting with a song on an album that's over 9 minutes long, that is just crazy. We've said it already, there's something theatrical. There's a kind of a sense of maturity about the band. They're obviously trying to do something different and trying to make themselves particularly accessible, I suppose. It's kind of goth for the 2020s, right? Goth for the 2020s. The Ballad of Spook and Mercy, though, like when that started, I thought that sounded like Nick Cave. And then you got bits of Sisters of Mercy. You've definitely got the Meatloaf vibe, the Jim Steinman vibe going on all there. And yeah, I don't know, it sounded a little bit forced to me, like they're just trying to be something that is going to be, stand out from the crowd, maybe. Nothing wrong with that. It was pretty poppy for me. It was kind of fun, but not very engaging, if I was honest. That'd be my sum up of it.
Cool. Samon! Now, you like a bit of Creeper, surely. Surely Creeper crept up on you and did something.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. I'll be honest, I've never really heard of them before, but I have seen their name on a lot of people's t-shirts and hoodies and stuff like that, so I've always been curious. I actually thought it was a brand of clothing. But like a bat out of hell, Further Than Forever like hits the highway like a battering ram as an unabashed dead ringer to Meatloaf. And I'm also reminded a lot of the Rocky Horror Show, obviously, understandably, but clearly Creeper are just putting their own spin on things, which is fantastic. The rest of the album is like Midnight at the Lost and Found, rummaging around for like 80s musical inspiration, but with a modern girl sound, and there's a lot of variety and bad attitude in the album. And the vocals really help carry the songs too, because he has this quite unique voice, and he's got a really good range as well, which really helps me see Paradise by the Dashboard Light. The only issue for me is I'm just not into this style of music that much. Like, it's good, but it's not something I listen to frequently. So I'm not overly keen on returning to the album, just because my preferences will tend to be a little bit heavier. But I'm still impressed with how well the album was produced, and they do have a really unique sound, so 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Oh, very, very good. Now, talking about Paradise by the Dashboard Light, we've got our dashboard focused on the wonderful Trish. Trish, are you going to go all the way with Creeper, or just second base?
Okay. Sanguivore. What a haunting opening to the album with Further Than Forever. Loved the long intro into the vocals kicking in. While I was listening, I kept thinking, this track sound really reminds me of another musician and their style. Then it came to me, Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell 2. And what an epic album that is. Then the album goes up a notch in beat with Cry to Heaven. The Ballad of Spook and Mercy reminded me of Nick Cave's song Where the Wild Roses Grow. Lovers Led Astray, what a banger of a track. This album has a bit of everything thrown into it, from ballads, heavy rock, pop rock. There is something for everyone. This Sanguivore can feed on me any day, so much so I've booked tickets to see Creeper Headline Takedown Festival. Wah!
Wow. Well, I'm not going to talk too much other than all I'll say is that since obviously Jim Steinman's not been much around, Meatloaf obviously passed his death, nobody's really stepped into that theatrical kind of storytelling rock, and I thought Creeper stood up to the pedal and didn't rip off Meatloaf, but was inspired by it. And I thoroughly enjoyed the album. I absolutely loved it. It is a grower. It is a grower. That 9-minute song is but it is a haunting, and it does sum up and what's to come brilliantly. So I didn't mind it. I absolutely adored this album. I thought it was really cool. So, but anyway, right. Twin Temple, God is Dead. More to say that all I can describe this as we threw this in there, because obviously Creeper was dark, and this is described as satanic doo-wop rock and roll. So it's rock and roll, but did it throw us back to the 60s and bring that sort of vibe to the modern times? And really, was it that satanic? Will, let's start with you. Bit of doo-wop rock and roll, satanic doo-wop rock and roll. Did it have you jiving?
Oh, starting twice in a row, what an honour. I feel so privileged.
Well, we started with Paul, actually.
Well, no, his narration, I class that as just the intro to who they are. As you're not doing your intro of what they do. First proper one.
Okay.
It's fucking weird. Putting it simply, I can't take it seriously. I mean, obviously, it's not much of a throwback to the 60s for me, as I was not, in fact, around during the 60s. So, for me, shocking, I know. You can't really tell. It's just a bit weird. I couldn't really take it seriously. I didn't really know what was going on. It's just a bit weird, mate. Not gonna lie. I can't really think of anything else to say. My listens have just been me sat there with a very confused expression, because I can't really work out what's happening in my ears. It's an experience.
Was it an enjoyable experience, Will?
An experience that I shan't be recreating, I think.
Fair play. Trish, let's go to you next then. Bit of satanic rock and roll. Did it float your boat?
Well, the album, looking at the names of the tracks, I'm thinking this album is going to be completely loud, satanic loud, screamo, heavy metal. That is not my bag at all. Then, when I hit play and the opening track, Burn Your Bible, I'm transported to music sounding as if it should be in Dirty Dancing or a 50s musical film. I was wondering if Nigel had got confused entering this album in our rock album review. But actually, when you listen to the lyrics, they are rock satanic lyrics just mashed together with doo-wop rock and roll. You can't help smiling listening to it, and how it's all put together with the likes of Satanic Orgy, Be a Slut, which actually had me swaying along. It shouldn't work, but it does. Did I like it? No. I loved it, but as it's not a rock album as such, I have to penalise it for that alone with my score.
Wow. Simon, now. We all know you're in a bit of satanic rock and roll, surely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was really surprised when God is Dead started playing and it didn't involve smashing drums or slamming guitars around. The whole sound and style, it's really cool. I like what they're doing. Her voice is beautiful. But it's not the kind of album I'd sling on and relax to. It's doo-wop sort of singy style. I can imagine. All I'm thinking about when I'm listening to the tracks is I can just imagine them appearing on a Netflix special horror or dark humour show, like an alternative dark Christmas film or something about a satanic cult or a cult of Santa worshippers or something, and they start playing the satanic cult song, the orgy song and stuff. Like, that's all I can hear. That's all I can think of when I'm listening to them, is just these tracks just being played on TV shows because they're a royalty-free version of certain other Christmas tracks. So yeah, it's It was good. It's really nice stuff, but yeah, just not the kind of thing I'd listen to again on repeat.
Now, Dom, knowing you as I know you, I mean, this album must have been the first one you put on when you saw the list, surely.
Yeah, it probably was. It was an early listen. Yeah, absolutely. It was. Satanic doo-wop. What can you say? You know what? Actually, as a couple of things I'm going to say. First of all, to me, it was just kind of generic 50s, 60s, solely rock and roll, and that switched me off, to be honest with you. And then obviously the gimmick is the lyrics, which are, particularly edgy, and in a way, the other thing I'd say, it's very clever. I think it is a really clever idea. It's really good, and the way it's recorded is obviously really cool. I'm guessing it's been recorded on vintage equipment. It sounds like it's been recorded mono, using old recording equipment to kind of create that vintage sound. And there's something kind of clever about that. Although the White Stripes, of course, did that a long time ago in a lot more of a rocky way. The thing I get is, like, if it was tongue-in-cheek, if it had a bit of kind of horror humour to it, I would probably prefer it. But I don't think that's what they're trying to do. But if I wanted that, I'd listen to the Cramps all day long, who are, one of the greatest bands ever in that kind of style. I don't know. To me, it was just a bit gimmicky. It was a bit boring, exactly. I think it was a hard listen to get to the end, if I'm honest.
I totally agree with Dom. I thought, actually, I didn't like the vintage recording. I couldn't understand it, half of what she was saying half the time. Maybe because I'm getting old and deaf, but it was a bit bland. The lyrics were actually rather tame and incredibly repeatable. God is dead, pretty much. That was the lyrics, pretty much through the whole song. God was dead. That was it, really. I can't remember anything else other than 2 minutes of God is dead. And it was just and it just got really dull. And I was really looking forward to it, but it really, really was quite tame, lyrically wise. It really wasn't even given. And I think that, I wasn't expecting, he drove the knife back into her deep dagger, into her heart and plucked out the blood type of thing, but it was all really kind of tame, and I didn't particularly enjoy the vintage recording at all. I thought the production was quite poor, and spoiled my enjoyment. So, unfortunately, between me and Trish, we were a bit polar opposites on this one. So yeah, it was all right, bit gimmicky, but nothing special, and a bit dull. Really sorry to say, but there we go. Right, let's find out then. Let's find out our.
Do you want to find out what I had to say?
I was going to say what Paul's got something to say.
Oh, really? Do I have to? My apologies.
I want to listen to you, Paul.
Paul,
I know.
I forgot. I started with Will.
I know.
I
know. I wasn't.
I'm going to blame my cold. I'm not well.
Outside, out mind.
Paul, carry on. Sorry.
Okay then. Obviously, this is going to be back to front because Nigel asked me to do some background about information about it because he wasn't feeling well. So, Twin Temple was formed in 2017 by the married couple and practicing Satanists Alexandra and Zachary James. Being fans of American rock and roll in the 1950s and 60s, Twin Temple have created a doo-wop 1950s classic rock album that is, as Trish said, a version of Dirty Dancing soundtrack for warlocks and witches. Alex Jones publicly denounced Twin Temple via his channels on GC Network radio show, calling them the embodiment of pure evil. As a result, they were doxxed and received backlash, including having a large number of Bibles anonymously mailed to their house, receiving death threats and threats of violence at their shows. There can be no discounting Alexander James has a fantastic voice, and on first listen, this stylistic album is a fun listen. However, and this is a big however, the decision to make every track sound as if it's played on an old record player with a very bad stylus, and yeah, I've lived long enough to experience that, makes the whole thing great on your eardrums after a while, making repeated listens a real chore.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks for that. Sorry, Paul. My bad. Should have started with you, but there we go. Right, okay. Let's find out our scores, shall we? Bit of deja vu here, but there we go. Paul, Creeper.
A 5 from me.
5. Woohoo. William.
2.
Simon.
3.
And Dom.
I went 3 as well.
Me and Trish were absolutely on par with this one, and we also give it a 5. Rock on. Absolutely loved it. So, let's have a look. We've got 10, 16, 18. Just outside, probably not top 80 albums, but just outside our Hall of Fame. Twin Temples, then. Paul.
2.
Will.
1.5.
Simon.
I feel like I'm being generous. 2.5.
And Dom.
2.
2. Well, Trish give it a 4.5. I give it a 1.5, and we ended up on a 3. So there we go. Total opposites apart there. So 4.5, 6.5, 7, 9, 11. Hey, almost on the halfway point, just below, and I think you've got to be in that sort of style for that kind of music. So, without any shadow of a doubt, we would 100% buy the Creeper album, though I'm forced Will to listen to it with some, dressed up as a vampire, because why not, on that score. Right, well, in that case, thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you to my wonderful panel, to Dom, to Simon, to Trish, to William, and to Paul. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Keep on safe.
Bye.
Hey, not forgetting, if you like what you hear, please hit that like and subscribe button, leave your comments. What do you think of the albums that we've recorded? And let us know. Goodbye, everybody. See you for now.
Bye.
Bye.